Hello everyone, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink. This is a video that has been a year in the making and it's taken me a week to edit because, as usual, I caught the cold bug that's been going around. All my kids are getting sick. Chris has been sick. I'm sick. Loads of fun. Anywho, this footage is from a year ago. I started making my kid's birthday card last year, and then so much was going on, just craziness. So I set everything aside in a container with the memory card, everything. So I had it all. And the funny thing was I even set the dies and stuff. So for a year I couldn't find the dies because anyway. I'd watched a video Jennifer McGuire did last year, and she called it Stepped Up Dimensional Die Cuts. And I will link to it because I actually found it. That was part of it too. I couldn't find it for the life of me. I thought I was going crazy. Anyway, she did that video and I really loved how it looked. And I thought that would be so perfect to do a customized balloon card for my child. Because I've said this before, I've done multiple videos over the years showing birthday cards I've made for my kids. And I really enjoy like customizing. And of course, as kids, they love having like their names on it, favorite colors, specific themes, etc. So that's what I did. And it just so happened that Caitlin's name was perfect for all the colors of the rainbow. She had just enough letters in her name. Everything was perfect. So that's literally what I've done. I die cut a ton of balloons using the smallest of Simon Says Stamp's balloon wafer dies. I die cut 3 layers of each color and I stacked them together. There is a reason for that. When you add all the crystal glaze in a moment, you want at least 2 layers. Like this is heavyweight cardstock. Like this is Simon Says Stamp cardstock. It is heavyweight. It's like close to 100 pound roughly. And it's heavyweight. But you need at least 2 layers glued together. Because otherwise the cardstock warps with the amount of crystal glaze that's added. And by gluing the layers together, it really gives it more structure and keeps everything flat. So I layered all those balloons. And then I did the same thing with the letters. And for that, I was using the CZ Design EVERETT alphabet. And I also pumped these up 3 layers each. Again, you wouldn't necessarily need to because it does make the letters pop out a bit so you don't get a perfectly smooth finish. But I was more than okay with that. Like I knew that was the look I was kind of going for because I wanted the letters to stand out more. And with all the letters, after everything's adhered, I coated the letters with Nouveau's Glitter Gloss Clear Aqua Shimmer pen. So they're all glittery. And that does tint the cardstock a little bit darker, which, again, I wanted because I wanted the letters to stand out a bit more. But they look darker now, but as it dries, it kind of goes back. And then another note, when you add the crystal glaze, it will make these cardstock pieces look darker than just the cardstock itself, which I was well aware of, but it just kind of depends. I'm telling you all these things in case, you have a certain look you're going for and it's like, why is everything changing? That's why. So I did all of this, stacked all those balloons, added all the letters, coated the letters with the clear glitter gloss, and then I added little handles to these because these are going to get coated with that crystal glaze and it can get messy. So I literally just taped little strips of cardstock to the back of each of these with washi tape, and that gave me something to hold on to. And then I am heavily coating these with crystal glaze. You could also use glossy accents. That will work just fine. I like that the crystal glaze is a little bit of a thinner consistency and a little easier, in my opinion, to work with. But either one will work just great. Biggest thing is just getting a good, thick, even coating and then making sure you don't have any air bubbles. Like taking a little pin, working out the air bubbles if you do get any. I find if you work just at an even pace, not super fast, I didn't have a problem. So I'm going to coat every single one of these with a big, thick layer. I think in the end I use like a quarter or half the bottle, which is fine because I keep extra bottles of this on hand because I really like this stuff. I usually don't have the patience to let it dry. It does dry fairly quickly, but these, I will say, I left them for sure, overnight at least at the time when I made them. But I just went along and coated every single one of these. I coated the balloon and I made sure to go right over the letter and that everything had, and if you really wanted to get that more of a smooth effect, you could let this completely dry and then add a second layer. I didn't bother doing that. That's extra, and I don't think it was necessary for what I was doing, but maybe if I was doing like only 1 or 2 images, I might try that, but I was happy with this. Another option you could try is clear embossing powder, especially ultra thick embossing powder. That used to be a thing. That used to be like a major technique back in the day, to create your own like enamel accents and stuff by using ultra thick clear embossing powder. That would be more finicky though, and that would take even longer than this in my opinion, because you'd be just fiddling and I wasn't going to bother. This is the easiest way to do it, in my opinion. So I coated all those and then let them dry. And then I'm back a year later to actually make the card. So anyway. So everything was good though, you know, the washi tape came off, my little handles came off the back of these little, you know, pieces are great. They literally are, in a sense, almost like little enamel pieces now, which is really fun. So, and they do end up having quite a bit of weight to them, when they're all together. Like, this ends up being a heavy card. This is going to be a larger card than what I normally do. And for those wondering, if I was to mail a card like this, I would put this in a bubble envelope or a very rigid cardstock mailer, something big that would protect it, because it's going to be heavy and it's going to be super dimensional. But I like doing this when it's for my kids' birthdays or cards I'm going to hand deliver. I'll go all out, like add all the foam tape, add all the dimension, add all the weight. Who cares? Because you're not mailing it. It doesn't matter. So for my main little character, I'm using Simon's picture book octopus, because my child is kind of somewhat obsessed with them. Not sure why it started, but, you know, we now have t-shirts in our house that have octopus on them. And, you know, does an octopus ride a bike and drive a car? And would an octopus eat a human if you went swimming the other? Like, everything. We want to watch octopus videos, all that stuff. So, my whole idea with this card was the octopus was going to be holding this cluster of personalized balloons. So I did some die cutting, and then I also added this little narwhal, this picture book narwhal, because it's adorable and the octopus needs a friend. And also because this is a big card, I have space. So I die cut. With these, I only did 2 layers, only to give them a little bit extra weight and a little bit extra dimension on this card, because the balloons are hefty. So I just did 2 layers, though, of these, because I'm not adding crystal glaze or anything like that to them. But I just wanted them to have that little extra bit of dimension to them. And layering all the pieces together really quick. These come together super easy, like no problem. The octopus comes in 2 pieces. It cuts like kind of the main body and then 4 of its legs or tentacles, whatever you want to call them. And then the second piece adheres behind the first. So I just adhered the main body first, the 2 layers. And then the second piece, I'm going to adhere those and then stick it together. And it's done. And I did the same thing with the little narwhal, and then left his little horn off for a minute, because I'm going to, of course, add some shimmer, because, again, this is a 6-year-old's birthday card. She's, like, all about the glitter and the shimmer and the sparkle, and she tends to be a lot like her mother, so can't really blame her. So adhered all these little pieces together. I'm just using Gina K Connect glue for all of this. And once I've got these pieces adhered, I let them sit and dry for a couple minutes. And then I decided to heavily coat both of them with that Nouveau clear aqua shimmer glitter gloss. And I also backed the like octopus eyes and the narwhals with just some washi tape, just because I'm going to add some adhesive later on. So this just makes it so the adhesive doesn't ooze out the back. So coated that and then covered them with this glitter glaze. And I will show at the end of the video, like, these are insanely sparkly. Like, they're basically solid sparkle at this point. So coated those, let them dry, and then I'll adhere the narwhal's little like horn again with that Connect glue. So for him, I just kind of added the shimmer and just left the little purple center, just give that a little bit of extra definition. So coated these completely over just some scrap paper so that I don't get that shimmer all over my like work, because I'm working on my glass media mat, and that sometimes has a tendency, when I'm not paying attention, I pick it up on my clothing, etc. Like, I don't mind shimmer, but I'm trying not to wreck my clothes, even though I live in yoga pants. Anyway, side note. Adhered to the little horn, and then his horn I coated with the crystal glaze as well, and then set those aside to let that completely dry. And then for all the balloons to attach the strings, I've shown other like different methods over the years in my videos when it comes to balloons, because I have a thing I like using, like making die cut balloons for my cards. I've shown different ways to like wrap string around them, etc., so it looks like the balloons are properly attached to string. I wasn't going to do any wrapping or anything with these ones because of the dimension of that crystal glaze. So the easiest method I came up with was I just have some heavyweight black string here, and I am taping it to the back of each balloon with some washi tape. And then I'm just adding a little dab of glue right behind like where the balloon knot would be to keep the string coming out that exact spot. So it's not going to move after I've adhered everything, and you'll see when I tie the strings together and that the strings stay where they're supposed to. So I just go through this whole process, tie the string or tape the string into place, add a little dab of glue, and then I set all these aside and let that glue dry. Yes, if you looked at the timestamp on this video, this is a long video. I did a lot of different things on this card. I like to go absolutely all out. I put a lot of time and effort into my kids' cards because it's just fun, and usually try to keep them so that, you know, something they can look back on. But it's just a fun process. I really enjoy it. So everything's now setting aside to dry. And now I need to create the actual scene for my cards. So I cut down some Simon Says Stamp 120 pound smooth cardstock. And I cut it down to 5x7. And then I pulled out Simon's Cloud for Days stencil. And I'm just using some memo tape from Heffy Doodle just to mask off those center clouds. Because I don't want to accidentally ink blend over those. I just want like the cloud edges. So I've got those kind of masked off in the center. And then I have Simon's AUDREY blue dye ink and one of my Picket Fence life-changing blender brushes. And I'm going to start creating my cloudy sky. And I gotta say, this color ink, this cardstock, this stencil, this blending brush is a perfect combination. Like, the sky just turned out even better than I thought it was going to. I used kind of a heavier touch when I'm pulling the ink kind of off the stencil onto the card and then not re-inking my brush. That way I get that nice, you know, that kind of more crisp edge right at the stencil. And then I wanted it to do exactly what it did, which was kind of fade up to more white towards the next cloud. So I just start at the top and then work my way down. And I just keep rotating the stencil every single time. So I get, you know, those different edges, that different look, and I just keep going along and blending in that ink. And then after I'm completely done with the ink off camera, I just clean my brush off on a microfiber cloth. This gets asked a lot. How do I wash these brushes? I don't wash them, literally. I've never washed them. I just rub them really good on my microfiber cloth. I'll have the one I use linked in the supplies. And I just rub it really good in the microfiber cloth, and I will go between types of inks, different colors, etc. No problem. I just make sure to wipe it while the ink is still wet. If you let the ink dry in your brush, there is a chance you can kind of make a big mess because then it's not going to come off, and then it'll reactivate next time you go and use it with a different color. So have a microfiber cloth on hand. It's the best way, really quick and easy. And then I wash the microfiber cloth every once in a while once it's like literally full of ink, which it's getting close to that. So anywho, once I finished creating my cloudy scene, to adhere all of these balloons, I have either Scotch foam tape or just the Connect glue, depending on how I'm like layering these. Because again, this is a 5x7 card and these balloons are not huge, but this many of them, trying to pack them on, this is why I had to do a larger than my normal A2 sized, because otherwise these just wouldn't have really fit. So I just kind of went along and kind of layered them so that I could spell out her name in rainbow order. And then for the actual like ocean scene, I'm just using, these are Lawn Fawn stitched wave borders, which I just used the other day. Yeah, these are like, this is like a little favorite die set of mine. I like pulling this out a lot because I really like the shape and the look of these. So I die cut more Simon cardstock with those wafer dies, and then I am adhering these with a combination of the Connect glue as well as more foam tape. Because again, all out dimension. Like when I literally only have to walk downstairs to deliver the card, it's like pile it on. I love the look of dimension. It's just sometimes it can make mailing difficult, especially from Canada. Postage can get absolutely insane. I spend so much on postage, it's insane. Anyway. Don't mind it for special people and special cards. It's fine. But some days it's like, oh, good Lord, my bill when I mail out a bunch of cards can get painful. So I use a bunch of dimension when it's something I can personally, like, you know, deliver or that's going to go on display or whatevs. So popped up the like front two waves basically with that foam tape, and each piece every time I adhere one piece, I would flip this over and trim off the excess with scissors. It's easier to do this each time than to try and cut through 3 layers of heavyweight cardstock with my scissors. And then this is where it gets a little finicky. I wanted to make it look like the octopus is holding these balloons. So to, you know, make this work, this is where it gets just this a little more, you know, tricky, but it works. Like, I make it work. But I kind of like hold the octopus where he's going to be adhered, you know, kind of figured out where, you know, one of his little tentacles was going to go. So then I used my reverse tweezers to hold all these strings and then tied a knot in that spot. And this made it a lot easier to handle by having all these strings knotted together. So then once they were knotted together, it's a matter of kind of fiddling and, you know, almost wrapping the bundle of strings kind of around his little tentacle and then up behind him so that, you know, it kind of, you're not staring at this just big black blob. So get things kind of figured out once I knew how this was going to work and how, you know, he was going to adhere. I'm going to pop some foam tape up behind his head so he's popped up a bit because he's going to go in between the first and second wave there that's already popped up with foam tape. So I'm going to add a little foam tape to the back of his head. And then to make it work with these strings, once I've kind of figured it out, I'm going to just quickly flip this over and then tape down those strings just with the washi tape just to kind of like hold them in place. Because once I adhere this, then they're fine. But get those sort of taped into place, trim off the excess, and then I'm going to just add a little more of that connect glue. And then I can tuck them right there in the waves and then press that down with the glue and the foam tape. And it looks like the octopus is holding the balloons. That just makes my day. It's so cute. So got that pressed into place. And then for the little narwhal, I want him peeking out of the waves too. And because that foam tape was in the way, and you're not going to see like the bottom portion of him, I'm just going to cut that right off so I can tuck him in there. So, you know, he's just kind of peeking up in between the waves there. And then I'm going to adhere him into place with that connect glue. And then I'll get to actually making, you know, so you can see their little expression. Well, not expressions, but they're going to get googly eyes, obviously. But I'll get to that in a minute. So got that adhered. And then for my card base, I'm just using more of that gray cardstock. This is, I think this is Smoke Gray from Simon. This is one of my favorite shades of gray it's just a good neutral. So I trimmed this down to 10 inches by 7. And then I'm going to score it at 5. So it's a 5 by 7 card base. So trimmed it down and then used my Teflon bone folder and my score buddy. Scored that really good at 5 inches. So this is also going to be a side folding card, which is rare for me. I like top folding cards. It's just the way I am. So scored that with my bone folder. And then that background, off camera, I trimmed it down to slightly smaller than 5 by 7 before I did any of the adhering of anything. So just to give it that little bit of a border with the card base. So I adhered that to my card base with the Connect glue. And then on the inside of the card, I wanted to stamp something. So I'm using the Birthday Palooza stamp set from CZ Design. This is the one like I always reach for my kids' birthdays for whatever reason. Ever since it came out, I just love this set. So I'm inking up the different sentiments in the set with different Distress Oxide inks because those show up really nicely on this gray cardstock. And then to customize it, I die cut a number from the Everett Solid Numbers, which coordinates with the letters I used on the front. And then the TH are actually from a newer one. That's from the Archie's Junior Solid Alphabet Wafer die set, which was just perfect. So it'll say, it's going to say like, woot, you know, woot, woot. It's your 6th birthday, you know, customized, everything. That's one of the great things about card making is, you know, you can just customize it for whoever, whenever, whatever. So I inked up only part of the stamp, the It's Your, with the Mowed Lawn Distress Oxide ink. And then kind of I had those die cuts kind of in place roughly so I could see where they would go. And then I could stamp the birthday with the Wilted Violet Distress Oxide ink. And then once that's all in place, now I can adhere the number and letters to finish off this little greeting on the inside of the card. So got that adhered into place. And then, of course, I need to finish the outside of the card, finish my little characters, add a little more bling because there's never enough. So dabbed on a little bit of glue onto these letters, press them into place. So now it says it's your 6th birthday. And then on the outside of the card, I pulled out some Studio Caudia 5mm googly eyes for my little characters. And I'm just going to use dabs of that Connect glue. And this is why I put washi tape on the back of them so that the glue doesn't just like, you know, go right through. And then I can press these little googly eyes into place and it just immediately gives them, you know, character. And it's just the cutest thing ever. So added the googly eyes. And then I had to add just some more bling because, of course. So for the bling, I'm just using some Nouveau crystal gems and just sprinkling them heavily onto this card. You know, the more the merrier. So I just poured these out into one of my little Studio Katya triangle trays here. Sprinkled these all over this card, like everywhere. And then I'm just going to adhere them into place with dabs of the glue, picking up the crystals with my jewel picker, and then pressing them into place. And then that's going to finish off this card. This was so much fun to make, and it's just cute. It's just cute. So I'm going to turn on the flashlight on my phone so you guys can actually see like the glitter. The glitter is intense. Super glittery, well, super glittery octopus, super glittery narwhal. The letters are super glittery, glazed, fun. So that was my card for today. As always, there will be a link below the video to my blog post. There will be a supply list with links to all the supplies used. All that will be listed in the description box below the video as well as on my blog. Thank you guys so much for watching, for subscribing, for thumbs upping, commenting, sharing, all of it. I really, really appreciate it. And I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye!